Assalamu alaikum, Pak Bangla Connect viewers and our very honorable, venerable listeners and viewers. If you're seeing us from Pakistan or from Bangladesh or from anywhere else in the world, I'm very honored, excited, and thrilled that I'm talking to one of the most learned people in Pakistan and Bangladesh who's been teaching many generations, who taught many people, who's who saw since the beginning Pakistan, and of course all the heartbreaking stories and all the good moments and the bad moments, and so much to learn from, and what he sees in the future. You have seen him on multiple occasions on multiple channels as far as Pakistan is concerned. Of course, very famous name, very vocal, fearless, and giving his opinion out loud. So, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, we have Professor Shahiduzzaman with us. Starting from your journey, of course, but before that, that last year in August, a very big change happened in Bangladesh. So I would like to know, since it's August 14th tomorrow, and you said very excitingly that you're wearing a kurta, and of course, we love that. So how is Pakistan's 14th August viewed in Bangladesh this year? What's the difference, sir?
Yeah, well, in Bangladesh, things have been extremely busy, confusing, and uncertain. Let me say, there has been so much ups and downs in terms of how the politics should proceed. And then the question of whether the elections can be held in time. Our chief advisor had decided that he is going to go for elections by February next year. So in Bangladesh now, since a year of the transition that took place, we are going through stormy times. The political parties are very eager, and there are very strong divisive issues. Of course, the Awami League is out, and the Awami League leaders are going to face trial. Sheikh Hasina is going to face trial. Awami League, the political party, has been barred from future elections until the judicial process is completed. So the memories of Pakistan remain extremely favorable, especially to the younger generation. We are looking forward to the direct contact. Unfortunately, the direct flights have been delayed, and this has really affected the sentiments of the younger generation. Most of the urban young university students, very often when they are asked about Pakistan, they just uh, express their eagerness to visit Pakistan because they've been going through so much of the pictorial aspects, like the great places in Pakistan, like even Karachi, Lahore, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the places, Pakistani cuisine, food have been displayed on our television. There are many
Right.
Pakistani named restaurants here. The Pakistani, even Peshawarian is a common name in Dhaka.
Okay. Okay. Since you're talking about I had to ask that at the end, but since you've spoken about the Pakistani places, the flights, and cuisine, so you've been to Pakistan many times. What's your favorite cuisine here? What do you just like the best here in Pakistan?
Oh, of course. What I like best is something, unfortunately, at my age, I'm banned from eating. What I
Okay.
like is the wonderful meat dishes, the kebabs, the halim
Okay.
in Lahore, and then the paya, nihari. Nihari is my favorite. Whenever I'd been to Lahore, I tried the nihari in Anarkali market. Whenever we went to Peshawar, we had the chapli kebab, all the students, and this is shown so much in our local television. These Nihari shops in Peshawar, especially the meat, the preparation. Younger folks have been going to Pakistan. They've been paying in
Okay.
airfare. They've
Okay.
been flying via the Middle Eastern airlines, and they've been paying double the fare.
Oh
Same
my
is the
God.
case. Pakistani young people, very few, of course, have been coming to
Right.
Dhaka, all over
Right.
Bangladesh. There's a great deal of, eagerness.
Lovely. You'll have meet here. And you know, there is this city war between Karachi and Lahore. Now, since you've mentioned Lahore's Nihari, so Karachiites are definitely going to ask you, please come to Karachi and try ours because they claim it's the best. Jokes apart, sir, which is the best place? You visited so many places. You've been to Peshawar, you said you've been to Lahore. You must have been to Karachi.
Yeah, of course. I've been to Karachi. One of my old teachers in my department in Dhaka University, he was still there teaching at Karachi University.
Right.
His name is Sikandar Mehdi, at the Department of International Relations at Karachi University. So he was my teacher. He had come to Dhaka several
Hmm.
occasions in
Right.
Karachi. We had a wonderful time with the students because we had this direct flight, once from Dhaka to Karachi, the other time we flew from by PIA from Delhi, New Delhi to Lahore. We took only about 40 minutes. What in Karachi, in some of these, we spend a lot of time at the Karachi University, um,
Right.
uh, and and we even went to the engineering university. The vice chancellor was wonderful. In Karachi University, we've met a lot of teachers who had spent their earlier years at Dhaka University in the
Right.
60s and 50s. Many of them had very nostalgic memories. Some of them
Lovely.
said they were telling us that they spent the best years of their lives at Dhaka and how
Right.
much they had missed Dhaka. Well,
Right.
right now, when we went to Qadim University, our students spent 2 days in Punjab University with the female students. There were
Right.
very dramatic moments. They had exchanged ideas, friendship at the Peshawar University also. We had a
Right.
wonderful time. In Pakistan, we drove through all the way to Kalam, with
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
in a bus, and we went to the Khyber Pass, Torkham border several
Right.
times.
Right. Right.
It's absolutely amazing how glorious and beautiful Pakistan is, and how unfortunate that people have been deprived from visiting these gorgeous places, which would be unmatched anywhere in the world, you know. And unfortunately, if we had direct flights, which I don't understand why they are not still introduced. Is it because of
Mm-hmm.
India that is hindering overflights, or is it because of some technical glitch? The agreements were signed long ago. Pakistan has
Mm-hmm.
done the wonderful favor where you don't have to pay the visa fees. You can just apply and go. And if by now we had air flights, you would have seen, million, maybe $1 million worth of investments in the tourism in Pakistan. Our tourists are plane full of these tourists. They go to Bangkok and Singapore.
Right.
Every day there are two or three flights. These people would have much loved to visit Lahore
Right.
and the frontier, and the tourist industry would have had a boom by now. Every day that we are delaying these flights, I think we are hampering the
Right.
Bangladeshi tourists going there, especially young generation.
Right.
We have a crazy younger generation. They have been habituated to going into India,
Mm-hmm.
but the Indians have banned any Calcutta, and the Calcutta economy is about to collapse. We see
Right.
movies, we see documentaries from Kolkata where they say that the streets and the shops are about to close down because there are no
Mm-hmm.
Bangladeshi buyers, no Bangladeshi visitors. A
Right.
large part of their hospitality industry is collapsed. And Bangladeshis always used to travel all the way, all over India, all the great tourist places. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this entire tourism could be diverted to Pakistan if we had the
Right.
direct flights. So
Right.
I dearly hope that when the Pakistan foreign minister would come around some within the next 2 weeks, there will be a
Right.
breakthrough to introduce
Right.
direct flights. And
Right.
I hope that the Indians don't make it difficult
Right.
for our travel between the two
Right.
countries.
Right. Lovely, sir. Thank you so much for this elaboration. And definitely, we'd love to welcome our Bangladeshi brothers and sisters. By the way, I learned a Bengali sentence also, Amare Bangladeshi Bhaiyo Bonera. And that's all. So we welcome you all. Do come as soon as the flights are there, inshallah. So, sir, just going on to something serious, because there
Yeah.
is a lot, like you've mentioned India, you've mentioned the ties, Pakistan and Bangladesh, and of course we've seen a transition, as you've mentioned too. And just recently, I was going through your Facebook, and you've shared a post where you say that when the Pakistan's ephemerized, we need to sign up military security and intelligence reorganization agreements to wipe out every remnant of Awami loyalty aimed at Akhand Bharat. Sir, would you like to comment on that?
Exactly. I'm so happy. I'm glad that you asked me that question. This is something that I've been craving to talk about in your media, and now, right now, I have the opportunity. You see, it is very important that Pakistani diplomacy becomes more effective, more rationally aggressive. I don't mean aggressive in a negative sense, but I mean then assertive, you know.
Right.
The real problem with Pakistan's breakthrough in Bangladesh, despite the 1 year, has been that the Pakistan's diplomacy has been very quiet and very tolerant, and the Indians have taken advantage of it. The Indians
Right.
are hated in the among the general public. No
Right.
Indian, you don't see any Indian around in the roads or streets or anywhere. But because
Right.
of the fact that Pakistan maintains a very low profile, even now, that is what is has happened. That these Indian intelligence people have again penetrated into our military establishment. A young
Mm-hmm.
major was caught several days ago. He was out of his unit. He was in the 10th division in Rangamati, in the and he, where which is a sensitive area guarding the hill track. Now he was
Right.
in Dhaka. He was training several hundred Army leaguers on guerrilla warfare, and he
Mm-hmm.
was caught, and now he is going to face a court martial. Apparently,
Right.
his wife, who is a police officer, she was also caught red-handed. You know, so these even we are taught that there are senior level officers who had been brainwashed by the Indian intelligence. Who had spent a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Hasina's criteria for promotions was loyalty to her and Indian allegiance. There were many
Mm-hmm.
of these generals who had been trained in the Indian National Defense College and in the Indian establishments, and who were actually affected by the Indian training and whose promotions also depended on Indian certifying. This is the
Mm-hmm.
same story with the bureaucracy. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in this 1 year, there is a lot of exposure of these people in the civilian and the military establishment
Mm-hmm.
who have taken advantage, who have been planning to destroy this revolution. So I've been
Right.
writing continuously, and I've been telling that the Pakistani presence here must be asserted by its intelligence. I
Right.
wish that the Pakistani army chief would come to Dhaka after the foreign minister visits, and that he
Right.
would forcefully speak to the military people at the highest level, tell them about the need for security, and because the Indians have been threatening to cut off our territory on the northern side, and they have
Right.
been extremely angry and upset that Bangladesh's the Hasina government had collapsed. But now, in order to make sure that we have a very secure, independent existence, it
Mm-hmm.
would be very important that Pakistan diplomacy asserts itself. If the Pakistani foreign minister would not only talk to Professor Yunus very
Mm-hmm.
forcefully,
Mm-hmm.
we have to make sure that our foreign policy advisor and the entire Bangladeshi foreign ministry, which for
Mm-hmm.
almost 15 years have
Mm-hmm.
been sort of subjected to habitual obedience by the
Mm-hmm.
Hasina regime, this
Mm-hmm.
process has not been corrected. our media and our civil society has been has been thoroughly disappointed by the fact that even today there are people who want the old regime to return. This is
Mhm.
absolutely dangerous because the Indians' plan has been very bluntly one of trying to militarily
Mhm.
establish some degree of control over Bangladesh. They have
Right.
failed because the people have resisted. So
Right.
this is exactly the fact that in Bangladesh the political culture is such that people tend they don't tend to become assertive because
Mhm.
they're insecure and uncertain. This is
Mhm.
why I think it's important that the Pakistan military intelligence must make a foothold on their own. They've got
Mhm.
to come here. We need the Pakistan's military strategists to have a very strong presence in one of our military establishments, which is known as the Army Doctrinal Command, which is
Mhm.
located in Mymensingh. There were
Mhm.
initially there were rumors that a big Pakistani military contingent would consolidate itself in the doctrinal command, so that
Mhm.
Pakistan's ideas of how Bangladeshi military strategy should be conducted can be
Mhm.
introduced, can be
Mhm.
reinforced. And this
Mhm.
15 years of Indian
Mhm.
influence can be wiped out gradually. That is why it
Right.
is, I feel that there needs to be a very clear-cut presence of the ISI, Pakistani ISI, and there needs to be a very solid contact with our intelligence agency, which is called the DGFI. You know,
Right.
uh, there
Right.
are there are people in the DGFI who need to be drawn into a sense of confidence that Pakistan is going to remain a very effective ally and that the Indians will not have any chance to come back anymore.
Right.
This sort of
Right.
a psychology it reminds me of 1975. When about really 40 years back, when
Mhm.
Sheikh Mujib was assassinated, the Indian High Commissioner tried very hard to sort of bring about a situation of Indian military people entering Bangladesh. But then
Mhm.
there was a very strong presence of the US ambassador in Dhaka, Mr. David Eugene Boster, back in
Mhm.
1975. The American
Mhm.
ambassador was so forceful and so
Mhm.
deliberate that he even went to the extent of warning the Indian ambassador, telling him of drastic consequences if he
Right.
tried any adventurism in Bangladesh. It
Right.
was the American assertion that had saved in 1975 Bangladesh. There is almost a similar dilemma right now. Right now, there is so much of popular support and love for Pakistan, and that
Mhm.
is why we see that we cannot allow, because in India the BJP and the RSS are absolutely different from the past. In the past, when the Congress was in power, when Mrs.
Mhm.
Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, even
Mhm.
during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the Indians
Mhm.
were restrained. But
Mhm.
now that the RSS in India openly flouts the idea of Akhand Bharat, they
Mhm.
seem to they seem to establish some sort of a weird attitude of right to penetrate our society.
Right.
Bangladesh is a very conservative Muslim society.
Right.
In we are a people when early in during this the azan, the fajr, when in the twilight, in the entire Bangladesh is rocked by the sound of the azan.
Right.
Entire thousands and thousands of people come out and go to say their prayers early in the morning before the sunrise. The day begins with the prayer to Allah. This is a
Right.
very strict Islamic society. But then, the Indians have been trying their best to change our values, to change our ways, to change our customs. We assert ourselves in terms of the Muslim rule in India that came during the time of Ikhtiyar bin Bakhtiyar Khilji in the 7th century. And since the 7th century, the Muslims were under the Sultanate of Bengal. And the Sultanate of Bengal lasted for 400 years in Bengal. The Turkish rulers, the Iranian rulers, and Bengali people here who converted into Islam and the mixed race, we have remained loyal to the values of Islam for 700 years now.
Yeah. Basically, what you've said is that one, Bangladesh needs a strong military-to-military cooperation between Pakistan and Bangladesh. And of course, there's so many suggestions. After foreign minister's visit, you expect that some high official from military also visits. You've mentioned the Field Marshal Saab, that he may visit, and there must be a communication. So I'm sure the people who are watching and who are the decision makers on both sides will definitely be thinking about it. And obviously a person who has such an extensive experience is coming with an idea and suggestion. And the second thing that you've mentioned is that the penetration of Indian, you meant agents in every cadre, in every fraternity, be it bureaucracy or military or politics and so, but the generations, most of them, particularly the youth, is not buying the idea of staying under Indian imposition of, that they can impose themselves. So coming back to this point, what kind of, cooperation? You've mentioned tourism that we need to strengthen between the two countries. You've mentioned about the defense and security. You've been a teacher throughout your life. What about education? Do you think, do we have some more plans? You have any ideas that we can have our kids going from Pakistan to Bangladesh and coming from Bangladesh to Pakistan and learning new things? So
yes, of course. I missed out a point where that
please go ahead.
The Field Marshal had gone to Florida and he addressed a Pakistani gathering. He mentioned about the future, that in case if the Indians try to play any adventurism, Pakistan will respond, this time from the east, from the eastern side of India. Pakistan will hit. This was an extremely interesting point which we picked up very positively, which actually implies that Pakistan should have. I was the one who floated the idea that Pakistan should extend a nuclear umbrella in Bangladesh. This is something which has gained a lot of seriousness in the last 6 months or so. If Pakistan can set up a rationale and take positive steps, setting up Pakistani setting up missiles and a nuclear facility would allow Pakistan to have a very clear reach to the eastern side of India, the Vishakhapatnam, which is the headquarters of the Indian Navy in the east, and the entire eastern part of India, where they have all these critical investments made for their defense. Bangladesh should be the ideal venue for Pakistan to deploy advanced missiles, and it will also enhance our security. I had said it before also that in order to have Pakistan's Navy reach the Bay of Bengal, we need some cooperation, serious cooperation. Now, I think it's time that there shouldn't be any hide and seek. A great problem with Pakistan, as I had said, is that the Pakistani High Commission here plays a very muted role in terms of talking or having links with scholars like me. In previous years, when Rafiuzzaman Siddiqui was the High Commissioner, we were so friendly. Even today, even nowadays, every other day he talks to me and I talk to him. We send messages. Rafiuzzaman Siddiqui has been very eager to come to Dhaka again as the High Commissioner. But then it has changed. Even the previous High Commissioner, who is now in Islamabad looking after as the additional secretary in charge of Bangladesh, he was the High Commissioner and we had very good links. I had been at his place. But now the Pakistan High Commission, the senior echelon, remains sort of remote from scholars like me. I have never had a chance to meet the Pakistani High Commissioner, the deputy, or even people at a lesser rank like the minister, deputy High Commissioner, they have been totally removed. Now, why this attitude of distance? I don't know. It seems that this is a part of that low profile. And then, this has to change. I feel that our younger generation, of course, they would love to be attuned to the Pakistan culture. We had Nusrat Fateh Ali's son who came over to Dhaka, and we had a
Right.
wonderful time. And there were other visitors also came to Dhaka. But it's
Right.
important that the senior members of the Pakistan High Commission should also keep in touch with scholars,
Right.
because we are the ones who know the pulse of the society. We are the ones
Right.
who can give out of the box advice, because
Right.
the Foreign Office
No.
and the Foreign Policy Advisor is not are not the perfect ideal choices right now. We have a National
Right.
Security Advisor, Dr.
Right.
Khalilur Rahman. He's an
Right.
outstanding diplomat, and he has done wonderful things in negotiating the tariff agreement with the United States. As
Right.
Pakistan and Bangladesh almost have similar tariff charges, and Pakistan enjoys great deal of attachment to President Trump. And right now, the United States is really able to recognize the Indian hypocrisy.
Right. So
President
that's a very lovely point. So I beg to interject you here, which I hate to because there's so many interesting things you're talking about. So coming from your concerns about that things are supposed to move or escalate, and there should be in a very good speed, as far as the relations are concerned. But now, since you've mentioned Pakistan and the U.S. and Indian hypocrisy exposed. Also, just in recent past, Pakistan and India had a war which could have escalated had it been the case Pakistan did not show restraint, which Pakistan did. And you've mentioned that too. So, what is the comment on this complete situation? Because we see the Indian politicians and Indian media fraternity, it's like they're almost pulling their hair constantly and they're coming with a new story every day. You, as an independent person, how do you see this complete scenario, sir?
I, I I am amazed. I have what this experience that we have gone through in the last 1 year, and also the
Mm-hmm.
experience of Pakistan's military exchange with India. One thing has been exposed, that the
Mm-hmm.
Indian media is viciously melodramatic, and they are liars. They cheat themselves with lying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
imagine the fact that the Indian Air Force chief just claimed that they have shot down 5 or 6 Pakistani planes. And that
Yes.
too, they're making these claims 3 months after the war had ended.
Right.
I watch the Indian channels, the Indian journalists, Indian officers. These people are living in a fancy world. The level of their ignorance and the way they make an enemy of the entire world. They have no friends. The whole world has gone against them. First it was Pakistan, then it became Bangladesh, then it was the South Asian neighbors, and then now they have finally turned against President Trump. They were
Mm-hmm.
in the past, they were worshipping the image of President Trump in their temples. They were putting
Mm-hmm.
flowers and they were praying that Trump will turn them into a superpower. What has
Mm-hmm.
happened is the opposite. India has never shown so much military weakness as they have
Mm-hmm.
now. I think it
Mm-hmm.
is time in Bangladesh. We would like to see that
Mm-hmm.
the people who do not like to remain a part of India, people in the
Mm-hmm.
Northeast, they
Mm-hmm.
receive genuine support and genuine help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The partition in 1947 was absolutely unfair. The
Mm-hmm.
India was created in a very
Mm-hmm.
unfair manner. In
Mm-hmm.
the entire northeastern part was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to join with Bengal, East Bengal. That was the decision in the Lahore Resolution in 1940, when
Right.
the two-nation theory. So the
Right.
Indians have failed to unify the Northeast. The Indians have failed to impose their rule in Kashmir. And inshallah, I can see that in the next near future, The whole world will again reinvigorate the struggle of the Kashmiri people, the struggle of the northeastern people. President Trump has has now learned the truth. He has now been educated to recognize the fact that India is never a trustworthy country. I don't think
Right.
I don't think the distance between America and India which can be patched up easily, and the
Right.
Indians have chosen a path of which for which they will regret. I have
Right.
learned the news today that Chinese foreign minister is visiting Pakistan
Mm-hmm.
before the Indian Prime Minister Modi goes to China. This is a very
Mm-hmm.
good sign that the Chinese foreign minister, visits Pakistan and briefs up Pakistan properly. We
Mm-hmm.
also are looking forward to the fact that eventually we will
Mm-hmm.
be able to build a very strong air cover that will
Right.
include China, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. We
Right.
hope that Pakistani Air Force would be able to install their Air Force planes in Bangladesh. We have a new air base in Lalmonirhat, which is
Right.
just next to the Shiliguri corridor. And
Right.
we have decided to reopen that base. And inshallah, I hope that when the the foreign minister comes to Dhaka, there will be some agreement so that Pakistan Air Force can also set up a base, they can use the base in Lalmonirhat and in other parts of Bangladesh.
Right.
These are
Right.
plans for the future which should be feasible.
Right.
You
So
know.
there are so many, insights, very valuable insights and suggestions coming from Professor Shahiduzzaman, and of course, it's an honor and privilege to get to know his point of view as far as Pakistan-Bangladesh relations are concerned. He's briefly discussed about how India is exposed globally, how it's making enemies, and Professor Saab had been generous not to mention, but I would like to that 8 Indian Navy officers were caught in Qatar for spying, so they have a problem there. In Canada, they did murder Hardeep Singh Nijjar, so they have a problem with Five Eyes. In America, they are trying to murder Mr. Panu, so they have a problem there. So it's Maldives was running India out. Nepal had a problem back of India. Of course, Bangladesh and Pakistan are the enemies, as they say. So, yes, we discussed everything pretty briefly, but I'm pretty sure that we are going to get to see Professor Saab more often so he can, guide us, teach us, tell us about things, what should be happening, what is happening. And more importantly, when I spoke to him off the camera, there was a lot, so many candid stories to discuss of the students, of the train journeys, and how he wants the train journeys, about his multiple meetings here in Pakistan, which he must have had with multiple people. Many memories we get to share with him, inshallah, in future. But before we leave, there is one very important point, that is Kashmir. And Professor Saab mentioned Kashmir. So I would like to ask you, sir, two very important questions. After the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, things have changed dramatically. They have created a complete illusion as if they don't want freedom, which is absolutely incorrect. It's the biggest jail and people are being suppressed. But since they are from Bollywood, they can create fantasy. And we give them 100 out of 100 for that. Now, coming back to this thing, do you think that the India Pakistan war brought back the Kashmir issue in limelight? One, to the things how they are happening and developing, and when we see the sentiment of Bangladeshi people and how it's built over the years, and the rage and the anger against the puppet regime and Indian hegemony and Indian threats, and then the global bloc, you see China is trying to invest in all the parts of the region, and the US is also willing to cooperate, and India's exports. If I ask you a very quick question about Kashmir and the regional stability in coming days, what do you foresee, sir?
I'm sure that the Kashmir issue will come up. The Kashmiri people have shown their resilience, their eagerness to decide their own fate. Right now, in the Indian occupied Kashmir, the life is so much one of being colonized. People there are forced out of fear to show their religions to India. There are Kashmiri female students who study in Dhaka, especially in our medical colleges. A lot of students from Kashmir have opted to come to Bangladesh from Srinagar and from the Indian health. Our younger generation interact with these Kashmiri female medical students, and sometimes they are in tears, when they explain how bad they feel, and they explain how happy they are to be in a Muslim country like Bangladesh. So in our part, our sentiment towards Kashmir is deep rooted. Every Friday during the Juma prayers, when you read the khutbah, it is absolutely mandatory that the Imam Sahib prays for the liberation of the people of Palestine and the people of Kashmir. There
Right.
are, I can tell you,
Yeah.
I have seen in the mosque people in tears, when they are praying for the people of Kashmir. So there is
Right.
a tremendous degree of sentiment. There is no dearth of feeling. The Hindus in India are trying to create mythology of history. They are trying to
Right.
distort history. They are trying to
Right.
make the Muslims look like as if Muslims are foreigners. One day, these Indian liars will realize, and the RSS lies and mythology will be exposed. I'm sure that the people of Kashmir will be liberated. There is
Inshallah.
one last point I would want to make, that
Yes,
all of
please.
it would make be will be greatly satisfying. Bangladesh has been making a wonderful economic recovery under Professor Yunus. All our
Right.
loans, outstanding loans, have been paid back, and we have a foreign exchange reserve of over $30 billion now, and it
Lovely.
is rising, it is growing. And by the grace of God, both Pakistan and Bangladesh has come out well in the tariff negotiations.
Right.
A lot of Indian companies, because they can't pay for tariffs, are requesting Bangladesh to shift to Bangladesh.
Right.
So a lot of orders in India from the United States are being cancelled, and those orders are being made now in Bangladesh. That was the news in the last 2 3 days. So
That's
inshallah, by the
lovely.
grace of Almighty, our economy is showing. Right now, our chief advisor is in Malaysia with the
Right.
Malaysian Prime Minister, and Malaysia has excellent relations with Pakistan also. So we can see that when your foreign minister would come to Dhaka, I'm sure he should be quite, he's an excellent person. I've heard him, and he's an extremely fine diplomat, other than being the deputy prime minister. And I'm sure
Right.
he will get along fine with Professor Yunus, and we
Inshallah.
will make some real progress in security, defense, and also economics, and more people to people contact. That's
Lovely.
all I want to say.
Lovely. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure having you here with us. It's a pleasure to listen to and learn from you, and to understand the dynamics, the geopolitical dynamics here in this part of the world, and of course, the international thing. And since you've been a professor of international relations for a very long time, and you've taught so many students of multiple age groups, I'm sure that inshallah in coming days we are going to talk more about those stories, and we are going to discuss more what can be done, what should be done. But listeners and viewers from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and all over the world, Professor Shahiduzzaman spoke about the Indian hegemony, spoke about the Pakistan Bangladesh relations, spoke about how India has been exposed, and spoke about how things are turning in favor of Pakistan and Bangladesh. We may have a few critical questions next time when we meet, because this was the first one. Inshallah, we'll be having sequels. Thank you very much. Thanks for being with us. And of course, Pak Bangla Dosti Zindabad. So, listeners and viewers, it was a pleasure. I'd love to have your feedback. I'd love to know what Gen Z thinks, what Gen X thinks, what millennials think, what boomers think, anybody and all of you, because that's a joint team. That's why it is Pak Bangla Connect. That's the name of our channel. And we want to connect. We want to connect with our Bangladeshi brothers. We want to, move on from that bloody year unfortunately, that happened in our history due to Indian hegemonic designs. And of course, we can dive into detail later on in some other episode. Thank you so much, sir, again. And inshallah, we'll be speaking to you in detail at length. Take care and Allah Hafiz.